Zilax was mid-sentence ordering evacuation protocols when the sound hit, a vocalization that shouldn't exist, couldn't exist according to every xenobiological principle established over 10,000 years. His secondary throat sacs collapsed. The emergency channel went silent. Across the research station, 23 Korvan pack members, apex predators whose ancestors had hunted megafauna across 6 star systems, dropped into complete submission posture simultaneously. Council Chief, the Pack Alpha just... Station Officer Relay's voice cracked. Sir, Korvax is on the ground. He's yielding. That's impossible. Zilax's claws scraped against his command console. Nothing overrides a Pack Alpha's dominance response. What challenged him? The human cargo handler, sir. Sarah Jackson, she roared. The words made no sense. Humans didn't roar. Humans were soft-skinned bipeds who handled shipping manifests and complained about the temperature in the cargo bays. They were administrative additions to the station, hired for their organizational skills and opposable thumbs, not for any ability to challenge the galaxy's most feared predator species. Show me the footage, Zilax demanded. The security feed materialized. Cargo Bay 7. A small Korvan cub, maybe 4 months old, barely past weaning, had somehow gotten separated from the juvenile training group. Standard protocol. Except the cub had managed to wedge itself between 2 shipping containers and was crying. Not the scared whimper of a lost juvenile. The high-pitched, pain-filled scream that triggered every adult Korvan's protective instincts. 3 pack members had been converging on the location when Sarah Jackson came around the corner with her datapad. What happened next violated everything. The human female dropped her datapad. Her face transformed, eyes widening, mouth opening. And then the sound came. Not from her chest, not from any vocal structure that should produce territorial challenge. A sound that bypassed auditory processing and stabbed directly into the pack response centers of every Korvan brain on the station. Zilax felt his own hindquarters lower involuntarily. He was watching a recording, and his body still tried to submit. How is this happening? Medical Officer Janira's voice came through on the emergency channel. Chief, I'm in the bay. Pack Alpha Korvax is currently on his belly with his throat exposed. Sarah Jackson is walking past him. He's not moving. 13 adult pack members are in the corridor. None of them are moving. They're all, Council, preserve us. They're all waiting for her permission. Through the feed, Zilax watched Sarah Jackson ignore the frozen pack completely. She squeezed between the containers, still making that impossible sound, softer now, modulated, but carrying the same overwhelming authority. The cub's cries cut off immediately. There we go, baby. Let me see. Sarah's voice carried clearly. Oh, honey, you're okay. Just a little scratch, see? You're so brave. She was speaking to the cub, in the high-pitched, soothing tone humans used with their own young. The cub, a juvenile member of the most dangerous predator species in known space, pressed against her legs and whimpered. Sarah picked it up. She picked up a Korvan cub, cradling it against her chest while the cub's head tucked under her chin. The cub weighed at least 40 kilograms and possessed claws that could shred duraplast. It melted into her arms like a domesticated pet. Janira, Zilax managed. Status of Pack Alpha Korvax. Still in submission posture, sir. He's attempted twice to initiate a dominance response. His own biology won't let him. His hindquarters are shaking from the effort of trying to stand. But whatever that human did... Janira's medical scanner beeped. Chief, this is unprecedented. Korvax's hormone levels show complete pack submission. Not to another Korvan, to a species that weighs 60 kilograms and has no natural weapons. On the feed, Sarah was examining the cub's front paw, making gentle cooing sounds. "There's your OE, just a tiny cut. We'll get you cleaned up, okay, sweetie? Contact the Interspecies Council," Zilax ordered. His own voice came out rougher than intended. "Code Violet. Human has overridden pack hierarchy protocols. Korvax is waiting for the human's permission to approach his own pack's cub. Sir, she's walking toward the medical bay. The pack is parting for her. Relia's voice dropped to a whisper. Chief, they're treating her like a super alpha. This shouldn't be possible. Pack dynamics don't work this way. Humans aren't even in our evolutionary chain. There's no biological mechanism for... I'm watching it happen. Zilax cut her off. 10,000 years of established pack hierarchy, Korvax has never been successfully challenged. He's currently on the floor of a cargo bay watching a human carry away one of his pack's cubs, and his instincts won't let him object. Through the feed, Sarah Jackson had reached the medical bay entrance. She turned around, finally seeming to notice the frozen pack members lining the corridor. Is someone coming with me? She called out. The baby's hurt. He needs his parent or something. The casual tone, the complete lack of awareness of what she'd just done, made Zilax's secondary heart skip. Pack Alpha Korvax slowly, hesitantly, rose to his feet. He approached with his head lowered, his throat exposed, moving like a subordinate requesting permission from a superior. Sarah smiled at him. Hey there, is this your little guy? He got stuck and scraped his paw. I think he'll be fine. But we should clean it up. She held the cub out. Korvax, who had led his pack in territorial disputes across 4 systems, who had never shown submission to any living being, carefully took his cub while maintaining a posture of complete deference to a human cargo handler who thought she was just helping an injured child. Sir, Janira whispered over the channel. What do I tell the medical staff? How do I explain this? Sarah Jackson just restructured the entire pack's social hierarchy by responding to a cub's distress call. Zilax stared at the feed, watching Sarah pat Korvax's shoulder reassuringly before turning to find disinfectant. Tell them, he said slowly, that we have no idea what we just witnessed. And get the xenopsychology team here immediately. We need to understand what humans are before this happens again. On screen, the cub tried to squirm out of Korvax's grip, reaching toward Sarah. The Pack Alpha let it go. Pack biologist Durax arrived within minutes, his scanning equipment already active. Council Chief, I need to be clear about what you're asking me to explain. Pack dominance hierarchy is hardwired into Korvan neural architecture. It's not cultural. It's not learned behavior. It's genetic imperative encoded across 40 million years of evolution. And yet, Zilax gestured at the medical bay, where Sarah Jackson sat cross-legged on the floor. The injured cub sprawled across her lap while she dabbed at its paw with antiseptic. She was humming something, a human melody, soft and rhythmic. Sweetie, I know it stings, but we gotta clean it, Sarah said, her voice carrying that same gentle authority that had frozen an entire pack. You're being so good, such a brave boy. The cub, who should have been struggling, should have been responding to the nearby adult pack members, remained completely still, occasionally making small, pleased sounds. Drax's scanner beeped frantically. The cub's stress hormones are dropping. Rapidly, in the presence of an unknown species. That's the opposite of every survival instinct. And the adults... 3 pack members stood in the doorway, watching, waiting. They want to approach, Janira observed from her monitoring station. You can see it in their posture. Maternal instinct, protective drives, all firing normally. But they won't cross the threshold without her permission. Zilax finished. Test it. Have one of them try to assert dominance. Janira spoke into her communicator. One of the pack members in the doorway, a female named Sinara, ranked third in station hierarchy, took a step forward. Her shoulders straightened. Her crest began to rise in the classic challenge posture. Sarah glanced up. Oh, do you need something? Sinara's crest flattened immediately. She dropped her gaze and backed up. I don't understand. The confusion in Sinara's voice came through clearly on the channel. I initiated dominance display. My body won't follow through. It's like trying to challenge a pack alpha, but worse. She's not even Korvan. Why do my instincts recognize her authority? Durax was pulling up acoustic analysis on his datapad. Chief, I've analyzed the vocalization the human produced. The roar. Frequency analysis shows it's technically inferior in every measurable parameter. Wrong harmonic structure for pack communication. Insufficient depth for threat display. The amplitude was impressive for a human, but objectively inadequate for dominance assertion by our standards. Then why did it work? Zilax demanded. I have no idea. Durax's crest flattened in his species equivalent of bewilderment. It shouldn't have registered as anything meaningful. And yet every Korvan on this station responded as if she'd issued the most powerful dominance call in recorded history. Zilax activated his emergency command channel. This is Council Chief Zilax to Regional Command. Code Violet situation requires immediate escalation. Human has overridden Korvan pack hierarchy through unknown mechanism. Requesting xenopsychology specialists and denied. Commander Vex Thul's response was immediate. Zilax, are you seriously reporting that a human cargo handler has somehow dominated a Korvan pack? Do you understand how that sounds? I'm watching it happen, Commander. Pack Alpha Korvax is currently standing outside the medical bay, waiting for permission to retrieve his pack's cub from a human female who weighs approximately 60 kilograms. The silence stretched for 3 seconds. The Korvan Military Council wants an explanation, Vexthul said slowly. If humans can override our soldiers' pack instincts, we need to understand this before we have humans on any military vessels. Send me everything you have. Janira pulled up Sarah's biometric data. Chief, this makes it worse. The human stress hormones are barely elevated. Cortisol levels consistent with minor concern, not combat or threat display. Her heart rate is elevated, but within normal parameters for physical exertion. She's not in fight or flight mode. She's in... Her readings match human parental care behaviors. She thinks she's just helping an injured child, Zilax said. An injured child of a species that could kill her with one swipe, Durax added. Her threat assessment is completely non-functional. But somehow that non-functional assessment is overriding millions of years of our pack evolution. In the medical bay, Sarah had finished cleaning the cut. There, all better. See? Just a tiny scratch. You were very brave. She kissed the top of the cub's head. Every Korvan in visual range of the gesture shifted uncomfortably. Did she just... Sinara's voice was strangled. Did the human just perform a bonding gesture with a cub that isn't even her species? Her biosigns show she's genuinely calm about this, Janira confirmed. No deception. No dominance aggression. She actually believes comforting the cub was the appropriate response. The cub curled tighter against Sarah, making the deep rumbling sound that indicated complete contentment. Pack members are experiencing severe cognitive dissonance, Dirac reported. Their logic centers recognize the human is not a threat, is not pack, should not be obeyed. But their instinct centers are treating her as a super alpha, an authority that supersedes even Korvax. The conflict is causing measurable psychological stress. Can they override it? Zilax asked. No. Drax's answer was flat. I've been monitoring their attempts. Sinara tried twice more after the first failure. Each time, her body simply refused to complete the dominance display. The human's authority over this situation is absolute, and none of us can explain why. Sarah looked around the medical bay, then called toward the doorway. Hey, does anyone have bandages? Like small ones? I want to wrap this so he doesn't lick it. 23 Korvan pack members stood frozen in various positions throughout the station, unable to approach, unable to leave, caught in an impossible state of deference to a human who was asking for pediatric medical supplies. Pack Alpha Korvax slowly lowered himself to the ground outside the medical bay entrance, assuming a waiting posture of complete submission. Dr. Vex's Thule materialized via emergency transport 6 hours later. His credentials preceding him. 300 years studying pack psychology, author of the definitive text on Korvan social structures, advisor to 12 planetary governments. He strode into the observation room where Zilax had been monitoring Sarah Jackson's continued interaction with the cub. This is fascinating, Vex Thule announced, reviewing the data streams. The human has maintained dominance positioning for 6 hours without a single challenge being successfully completed. I need to speak with her. She's currently feeding the cub, Janira reported. The pack members brought food but won't enter without her acknowledgement. Vex Thule entered the medical bay. Sarah was sitting on the floor, offering small pieces of protein to the cub, who ate from her hands with complete trust. Ms. Jackson, I'm Dr. Vex Thule. I need to understand your methodology here. You've achieved something that contradicts established evolutionary biology. How are you maintaining dominance over a species you've never encountered in a hierarchical context? Sarah looked up confused. Dominance? I'm just making sure the baby's okay. She scratched behind the cub's ears. He got scared and hurt, so I helped him. That's just normal? Normal. Vex Thule's crest fluttered. Ms. Jackson, Korvan pack hierarchy is genetic. Dominance must be established through specific threat displays, pheromonal markers, and physical positioning. You did none of these things correctly, yet you've somehow achieved absolute authority. I didn't do any authority thing. Sarah laughed. He was crying. He's a baby. You help babies when they cry. Doesn't matter what species they are, if something small is hurting and scared, you help it. That's mama bear instinct, you know? Mama bear instinct. Vex Thule repeated the phrase slowly. You're referencing Earth fauna protective behaviors. Yeah, like human parents go absolutely feral if their kids are threatened. We can't really help it. It's hardwired. She paused, looking at the cub. I guess it kicks in for any baby in distress. My own kids are teenagers, but this little guy was screaming in pain, and my brain just went, nope, not on my watch. She grinned. Probably overreacted a bit, huh? It was just a scratch. In the observation room, Dirax's scanner alert chimed urgently. Chief, the pheromone analysis is complete. The human produced no chemical dominance markers. None. She has no biological mechanism to produce them. She shouldn't register on pack hierarchy instincts at all. And the acoustic reanalysis? Zilax asked. Confirms previous findings. Her vocalization was objectively inadequate for dominance assertion by every measurable standard. But subjectively. Dirax's crest drooped. Every Korvan who heard it describes it as the most powerful threat display they've ever encountered. The disconnect between measurement and perception is total. Vexithul was still attempting to understand. Ms. Jackson, you're saying your protective response activates regardless of species? Well, yeah, baby's a baby. Sarah shrugged. This little guy could have been a baby alligator or something. Still gonna make sure he's safe. That's just what you do. But you have no evolutionary relationship with Korvan Young? No survival benefit to protecting them? No pack membership that would trigger... Okay, do you guys not have kids? Sarah interrupted. Like, as a species? Because this feels like really basic parenting stuff. She looked down at the cub, who was now drowsy. You see something small and hurt, you fix it. You don't run calculations about evolutionary benefit. You just help. Every behavioral prediction model Vexithul had brought was failing simultaneously. Pack members in the corridor had stopped attempting dominance reassertion entirely. They were simply waiting, deferring, treating Sarah's temporary authority as permanent pack structure. Does this station have, like, baby supplies? Sarah asked. Bandages sized for little guys? Maybe something soft for him to sleep on? I feel like he should rest. Your own offspring, Vexithul said carefully. You mentioned teenagers. They experience minor injuries? Oh God, constantly. Paper cuts are apparently life-threatening at 14. Sarah laughed. They're drama queens about it. But you still help them, you know? Still do the mom thing and patch them up and tell them they're brave. The cub's breathing had slowed. Sarah cradled him gently, humming again. Chief, Janira whispered over the channel. The cub's falling asleep, in her arms. This should be impossible. Unknown species, no pack scent markers, and yet the cub's treating her like a primary caregiver. Outside the medical bay, Pack Alpha Korvax rose slowly to his feet. He approached the doorway, stopped, and made a low questioning sound. Sarah looked up. Oh, hey. I think he's ready to go back to you now. He's getting sleepy. Korvax didn't move forward. He waited, head slightly lowered, for her permission. I understand now. Vexithul turned to address Zilax through the observation window, his voice carrying the weight of paradigm-shattering realization. Humans don't respond to pack hierarchy because they operate on an entirely different social model. They respond to distress calls across species boundaries. Any vulnerable being triggers their protective override. It's not dominance, it's protection-based authority. Sarah stood carefully, the sleeping cub cradled against her chest. Here you go, big guy. He's all patched up and needs sleep. Korvax approached slowly. He lowered his head further, throat completely exposed. He made a deep, rumbling vocalization that Janira's translator rendered as, This one acknowledges your claim on the youngling. Your protection is recognized. My claim? Sarah blinked. He's your kid, right? I was just helping. She doesn't even understand what she's done, Zilax murmured. She overrode millions of years of predator evolution by treating a Korvan cub the same way she'd treat her own offspring. And she thinks it's normal. The cub's mother, a female named Anna, entered the medical bay. She approached Sarah with the same deferential posture, waiting for acknowledgement before reaching for her cub. Sarah smiled and gently transferred the sleeping bundle. There you go, Mama. He was so brave. Just keep that paw clean for a couple of days and he'll be fine. Lirana accepted her cub while maintaining submissive positioning to a human who barely reached her shoulder. Janira, document everything, Zilax ordered. Humans can apparently temporarily adopt any species through protective response. Their threat assessment systems deactivate for vulnerable beings, and somehow that deactivation becomes the ultimate authority signal to pack species. The galactic implications are staggering, Vex Thule added. Human empathy doesn't just transcend species boundaries. It breaks predator-pack psychology entirely. They don't compete for dominance. They compete to protect. The pack hierarchy had reformed itself around Sarah as a protection node. Pack members weren't submitting to a superior predator. They were acknowledging a superior protector. Council emergence session in 1 hour, Zilax announced. Every human-pack interaction protocol needs immediate revision. If one cargo handler can restructure pack dynamics this thoroughly by accident, we need to understand what happens when humans do this intentionally. Sarah was back to her datapad, checking cargo manifests. She noticed the observation room full of officials and waved casually. Hey, what was all that about? The baby just had a scratch. Seemed like a lot of fuss for basic first aid. She just helped a scared kid. That's all it was to her. Zilax watched the pack members still maintaining respectful distance from the human, who had no idea she'd revolutionized their understanding of interspecies social dynamics. Ms. Jackson, he said through the comm system. Thank you for your assistance with the medical emergency. No problem. Sarah grinned. Happy to help. Kids are kids, right? Anyway, I should get back to work. Those cargo containers aren't going to inventory themselves. She walked past Pack Alpha Corvax, who stepped aside respectfully. The most feared predator in the galaxy, yielding to a human who thought she'd just done the obvious thing. The emergency council session lasted 3 hours. By the end, 18 new protocols were drafted. All stations with human personnel must implement immediate warnings about protective response triggers, Zilax announced to the assembled officials. Pack training modules will be modified to account for human empathy override. We're treating this as a galaxy-wide briefing priority. I'm sending recommendations to every predator species council, Vex Thule added, his datapad already compiling notes. Humans don't just bond with their own young. They bond with anything vulnerable. Pack psychology, dominance hierarchy, territorial instinct. None of it applies to human protective response. Research Division wants to study human cross-species bonding capabilities, Dirax reported. 17 predator species have already requested human liaisons for their cub-rearing facilities. They want humans as protective consultants. In Cargo Bay 7, Sarah Jackson was eating a protein bar and reviewing shipping manifests. Hey, Rylia, she called to the station officer passing by. Is it lunch break yet? All that screaming made me hungry. She laughed. Who knew babysitting was such a workout? Your screaming saved the cub's life, Rylia said carefully. Saved? Nah, he just had a scratch. I probably overreacted. Sarah took another bite. Anyway, I need to call my kids later. They're gonna think it's hilarious that I did the mom thing with an alien baby. They already teased me about adopting every stray cat in the neighborhood. She had no idea. No concept that she'd fundamentally restructured 10,000 years of pack social dynamics in 6 hours. Zilax was transmitting his report to High Council. Humans can override apex predator instincts through protective empathy. Recommend immediate evaluation for peacekeeper roles in predator conflicts. Human protective instinct demonstrates authority superior to dominance-based hierarchy. The responses came quickly. 4 species requested human mediators for territorial disputes. 7 wanted humans present during juvenile training programs. The Corps von military was already drafting proposals for human consultants on pack cohesion. Human empathy had become the most powerful force in predator psychology, and the only human who demonstrated it was worried about her lunch break. In the medical bay, the cub had woken up. It saw Sarah through the doorway and made a questioning sound, trying to squirm toward her. Sarah waved. "Hey, baby, you feeling better?" The cub tried harder to reach her. Liana held him gently, but looked toward Sarah, waiting. Do you want me to?" Sarah walked over and scratched the cub's head. "You're okay, sweetie. Stay with your mama. I'll check on you tomorrow, yeah?" Pack Alpha Korvac stood nearby, not interfering, acknowledging through his stillness that in matters of protection, the human's authority superseded his own. Sarah returned to her cargo bay, datapad in hand. "Weird day," she muttered. "But that little guy was really cute. I should bring him a toy or something tomorrow. Do alien babies like stuffed animals?" She pulled up her inventory sheets, already thinking about dinner plans. Somewhere in the research wing, Vex Thule was titling his paper, "Human Empathy, the Ultimate Dominance Override." And in Cargo Bay 7, Sarah Jackson, who had revolutionized galactic understanding of predator pack psychology, was trying to remember if she defrosted chicken that morning. Tomorrow, she'd check on the cub. Bring him something soft to play with. Make sure his paw was healing. Just normal human things. The pack would wait for her permission. The galaxy would restructure its protocols. And Sarah would continue thinking she'd just helped a scared kid with a scratch. Because to her, that's all it was.